You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Catholic Chicago. We are streaming on your YouTube channel, Catholic Chicago, and you can always listen to our programs on 7:50 a.m. WNDZ, weekdays from 8 to 9 a.m. I'm Cliff Barber, the director of the Black Catholic Initiative, with you today, and we have two really great guests, or actually three guests in two parts. We're going to speak to Father Michael Trail here in the first segment of this show. Father Michael is the newly appointed pastor at St. Thomas the Apostle Parish in Hyde Park, a very vibrant, multicultural parish on the south side of Chicago. And in the second half, we have the pleasure of having two really, really beautiful, wonderful ladies from the Ladies of Peter Claver with us, who are going to help us understand where the Ladies of Peter Claver are and what they're doing in the community today. So let's start with you, Father Michael Trail. Hi, Father Michael. How are you?
Hey, Cliff. Good to see you.
You know, it's such a great pleasure to be here with you. I have the great pleasure of calling you friend. But also, too, I think there's sometimes we pray for a person and we don't know who they are. And I feel like you're one of those people where I was praying for you, and I think many people in our community have been praying for you, and you've come up. God gave us a gift in you, a young, vibrant priest with so talented and faithful and such a great example to our young people as well as our older people like myself. But, many of us, as we go through life, some of us would say as we get older, we hear that still small voice, that God directing us to a place in our lives. Where's the point in your life where you heard that still small voice directing you to become a priest?
No, that's Cliff, I always love this question because I think it's an interesting one for me in my own faith journey, because I don't think I ever had a moment where I had a flash in the pan or the lightning strike, if you will. For me,
you didn't get knocked off a horse anywhere?
No, I'm certainly not St. Paul, and if I am, we're in trouble. For me, it was just kind of like a slow growth in the ways of holiness, growth in the life of the Spirit. I grew up in a moderately Catholic family, went to Catholic school through 8th grade. And when I moved from Detroit to Chicago to go to Loyola for undergrad, that was really a moment where, first I made my faith my own instead of the faith of my parents. I kind of named and claimed and owned my faith. But then after that, once I named and claimed my faith as my own, that gave me an opportunity to begin to answer and wrestle with some questions that I had in my own life. And so it was about my sophomore year at Loyola University, where I transferred into the college seminary to really discern in a real way. And after some time at the seminary and just getting to know some of the seminarians, that's where it's like love, right? Love is like a slow burn. It's either a flash in the pan or a slow burn. My love, and I'd say my call to the priesthood was a slow burn that just kind of grew over the years and just kind of intensified.
That's a wonderful way of putting it, and you're right around love, because sometimes love does happen like that, but also too, your love is a love for Jesus, isn't it? And that's the ultimate calling of a priest, is you fall in love with Jesus and you start to walk with him in a special way. So it's a really wonderful story. Now, there's a difference between being just a priest, I say just a priest, but that's a big responsibility, it's a big calling, but to being a pastor. Now, can you talk about from priesthood, when you became a priest, and now I think you've been a priest for a little over 6 years, is that correct?
Yeah, so I celebrated 5 years in 2021, and so I'm in the growing of my 6 years of priesthood right now. I always say that a priest is who I am. Of being a pastor is what I do. I've been a pastor at St. Thomas. I got there July 1st, and so I'm 67 days in, or 68 days, but who's counting, And every day is a new opportunity for me just to, learn about the community and learn ways that I can walk with the community as a fellow disciple, but then also shepherd the community as we grow closer in holiness. And that happens in very different ways. One of the first ways that I'm beginning to learn about the parish as a pastor is firstly by listening, and just I've had, lots of coffees, dinners, chats in the back of church, appointments in the office of just getting to know my parishioners and say, I always ask them two things. It's like, what are the top 5 things you love about St. Thomas, and what are the 5 things you would love to see that happen at St. Thomas,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been interesting to hear from them, both young, old, longtime Hyde Park residents, but St. Thomas is right across the street from the University of Chicago, so getting to know some of the graduate students as well and seeing what their needs are. So it's been just an interesting dynamic of learning what the parish is like.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to listening, I think that people want to see from me what they think my vision of the parish is. And so I've been using these first couple weeks and months of my time at St. Thomas to kind of present to them, yes, I'm hearing from you what you think St. Thomas looks like, but here's what I imagine a parish should be. And so in these intervening weeks, I've kind of been presenting to them this idea of we're a parish that comes in where people come to be fed and to be nourished and to, really learn about their faith, but we're also called to be a parish that goes out into the community,
Mm-hmm.
My parish spans 3 different communities in Chicago. On the north end, we take care of Kenwood and Hyde Park, and then we take care of Woodlawn on the other side of the Midway, south of the University of Chicago. And so, those are very different socioethnic demographics. And so, but what is the way that St. Thomas has responsibility to go out into the community in every single aspect of that?
Right. So we talked earlier, I mentioned that it's a very multicultural parish community, and someone talks, in some instances, people have talked about when you know one parishioner, you don't know the whole group. And I think that applies probably more so to St. Thomas the Apostle, maybe than other parishes, where you have so many different subgroups there that have maybe different interests and different and so forth. And I wonder what in your history, because you've now, as you said, in your 6th year as a priest, and you've had other assignments, and one of the beauties of being a Catholic priest is you do get to change assignments over and over, and you get to apprentice, so to speak, with other pastors. What is it in your background and some of the places you've been that you feel has prepared you for the particular challenge at St. Thomas the Apostle?
Yeah, no, I've been really blessed to have a multitude of assignments to help me just kind of learn how to be a priest, but then now that I'm in this new role of how to, how to walk with people and shepherd people. My first assignment when I was newly ordained, I was at St. Damien in Oak Forest on 155th between Cicero and Central, and that was a community where I learned about where people came to the parish because that was everything for them. There were so many great programs that took place there, and there were opportunities for prayer and for worship. But also, too, it was a very social parish. So people just came in it was a Wednesday night, and there was men's group or women's group or, different opportunities just to be social.
Mm-hmm.
And so at my first assignment, I learned what it meant to really come together and where we could just be a good parish.
Mm-hmm.
My second assignment, I only spent 1 year at Queen of All Saints Basilica in the Sauganash neighborhood, but while I was there, I learned what it meant for the parish to be part of the local community, because that was the place where, though it was in the city, it was still a very walkable community.
Mm-hmm.
The school kids who lived in the neighborhood, many of them would actually walk to school. And so from there, I learned what it meant to be a parish in a local context, in a local neighborhood, where St. Damien was in the suburbs. And so it's kind of one parish, one town. And so everyone from all over the place came to that. I really learned from Queen of All Saints what it meant to be a parish in a local neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at Our Lady of Mount Carmel most recently, I was there for 2 years from 2019 to 2021. I really learned.
Can you remind us where Our Lady of Mount Carmel is in the city?
Sure, yeah. Our Lady of Mount Carmel is in the Boys Town neighborhood, right on Lakeview,
Mm-hmm.
in Belmont between Broadway and Halsted.
Mm-hmm.
And at Our Lady of Mount Carmel, I learned what it meant to work with a community that's very transient. They did a study there before I got to the parish, and we found out that our average parishioner was only there for 7 years at the longest.
Wow.
Of course, there were some outliers, some longstanding residents of Lakeview, but what we found was that either you went to college or you got done with grad school and then you moved to Chicago for the first time. You wanted to move to a fun neighborhood. I was only 8 blocks away from Wrigley Field, so it was a very fun neighborhood to be in. And so, you moved in and you had a good time, and either you had a life event, whether you got married or you had a kid, and then you moved out to somewhere else, whether it be the suburbs or maybe back home or wherever home is. And so in my 2 years there, I really learned what it meant to minister to a transient community. And I don't mean transient in the negative context, but I'd say like a stepping stone. That we weren't there forever, Parish, but I saw my time at Mount Carmel was an opportunity to learn how to teach people how to be good Catholics and be good parishioners, so that when they did go to their long-term parish, they knew what to expect. They said, okay, we know what to expect in good music. We know what to expect in good preaching and good liturgy. We know what to expect in good faith formation programs.
Right.
And so that when they went to their forever home, they say, well, I know what I need that's going to feed my faith, and so hopefully my forever parish is going to do that for me as well.
It's wonderful, Father Michael. I almost see like God working through your assignments, because you talked about St. Damien, where there's kind of the strong ministries, and then you have the strong parish neighborhood, then you have the one where it's transients. And if you think about your new community at St. Thomas the Apostle, it's all those. I'm sure plus more, because Hyde Park is a neighborhood, but it's also a destination with all the University of Chicago families there. And, of course, it's a very progressive community in the sense that there's a lot of outreach and so forth. So you, in some ways, you couldn't have been prepared better by your assignments. You can thank the hand of God for that. If on the day of my ordination,
the Lord told me that you're going to end up in Hyde Park, I wouldn't have believed him, because that's how God works, though. It's just, when I see my life as just kind of this growing edge in the life of faith and in the life of Christ. And so being able to look back and say, okay, well, the Lord was preparing me for that because of this and this, so
that's beautiful.
It'd be interesting to see how the Lord is, working and preparing me for something that I have no idea about even now. But it's just fun to be in the thick of it now, and just to walk with God's people at St. Thomas the Apostle.
That's beautiful.
So far, it's been a wonderful community.
Beautiful. So with the last few minutes we have, I'd like to hear a little bit about, I know you said it's day 67. Now, people do have expectations for like 100 days. The president's like, it's been 100 days. What have you done?
Right.
So we got some big expectations, Father Michael. But
right.
Even with these first 67 days, if you start to think about, as you're forming some distant hopes and dreams for the parish, I'm sure those are percolating in your mind. Maybe you don't want to share them all, but what are some of the themes that seem to come up in your mind about where you want to see this community go to and grow and thrive over time?
It falls into the model of parish that I find very endearing. And again, I think I mentioned at the very beginning, it's this idea where a parish is a beacon of hope in the community, where people come in to be fed and where we go out. And so, one of the things that I really want to continue to work on with the help of all of our parishioners, and because I really do believe that we're all in this together, and that we're all are building up the kingdom of God in Hyde Park together, is that I want all of us, and my prayer for all of us is that, together we would build a community that is strong in our prayer and of the worship of the Lord. That's through good liturgy, that's through good preaching, that's through good opportunities for faith formation, and good opportunities just to grow in your faith each day. But then my hope, and this idea of us going out into the community, is just being a good partner in the Hyde Park community. St. Thomas the Apostle has been there since 1869. So we've been there longer than the city of Chicago has been around, incorporated anyway. And so it's been a good opportunity for us to begin to look at all our ministries and say, okay, what are the ways in which we are called to go out? So just having conversations with the University of Chicago, who's our longstanding neighbor and partner, Catholic Theological Union, Calvert House, the Catholic chaplaincy at the university, just trying to be a good partner, because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. And so finding those opportunities where we can minister, not just to the Catholic population in Hyde Park and Woodlawn and Kenwood, but also to everybody in those communities, because we're Catholic and that's what we're called to do.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's a wonderful story. Well, you've been, if St. Thomas has been there longer than the city of Chicago, you have one up on Lori Lightfoot. So there you go, right? Well,
Right.
look, we've got to end it there, Father Michael. It's such a pleasure to have you. We will have you back because there's more to explore. But thank you so much for sharing with us this morning.
And Cliff, thanks so much for all you do for the Black Catholic Initiative, and thanks for being a good partner in faith and in ministry. And I too, I'm honored to call you a friend, and I look forward to our conversation together.
Wonderful. God bless you.
Take care.
We're headed to the fairways for a fun-filled round of golf supporting the work of Catholic Charities in Cook County. Join us on Monday, September 27th for Catholic Charities Monsignor Michael Boland Golf Invitational at Butterfield County Club in Oak Brook. Golfers of all skill levels are welcome as we hit the links and raise vital funds so Catholic Charities can continue to accompany clients on their journey to greater self-sufficiency. Skill contests, fabulous prizes, and good company await all who attend this signature event. For registration and sponsorship opportunities, call 312-948-6864. That's 312-948-6864. Or visit CatholicCharities.net.
Welcome back.
Es fabuloso verlos.
Dobrze jest znowu być razem.
It's good to be together again.
After so many months apart, pandemic capacity limits have been lifted, and we want to welcome everyone back to church. We can all pray together again. And listen as our choirs lift their voices in song.
We've been together in spirit.
And now, when you are ready, our doors are open wide.
Nuestras puertas están abiertas de par en par.
Nasze drzwi są otwarte.
And we're here to welcome you back to Catholic Mass.
Do you have an old bicycle that's not being used? Consider donating it to Catholic Charities Veterans Bike Project of Lake County. Skilled volunteers are refurbishing bicycles to make them safe and ready to be used by veterans to get to and from their new places of work. We also gratefully accept financial contributions that are used to purchase bike helmets and other safety accessories. Our veterans have faithfully served the United States, and now it is our privilege to serve them. For more information on the Veterans Bike Project of Lake County, call 847-782-4219. That's 847-782-4219.
So welcome back, everyone. Again, I'm Cliff Barber, the director of the Black Catholic Initiative, here with you. This is the second half of our show, and I want to welcome two wonderful guests from the Ladies of Peter Claver, Court 181 on the south side of Chicago. It's such a pleasure to have here with us Bobby Levy and Deidre Delaney, and from the Ladies of Peter Claver. Welcome.
Good morning, Cliff.
Good morning. Look, I want to start, first of all, what a pleasure to have you both here. I know you both personally, and I know my wife is a lady of Peter Claver as well, and just to know the wonderful work that you do. So it's such a great pleasure to have you here on the show. I want to start, last week was the Feast of St. Peter Claver by chance, last Thursday. And St. Peter Claver, he had a heart for the lost, and he particularly was instrumental in helping slaves. And it's said that he... I don't know if he heard the number of confessions was in the thousands, but he baptized over 300,000. And he really was someone, some people called him a slave to the slaves. Like he really supported them. He gave his life for people who were on the margins.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder what you think, as St. Peter Claver is in the name of your organization, but what you think the life of St. Peter Claver says, or how its relevancy to the world that we're living in today, particularly maybe here in Chicago in our Black community, what his life says to us as disciples of Christ, but also to the problems that we're facing. Either one of you can take that.
Okay. As St. Peter Claver, he did minister to the enslaved sick, bringing them food, medicine, clothing, and salvation, of course. Like you said, he baptized over 300,000 people. Today, we have the same problems. We have people in our community and all over the world who still need food, clothing, and much salvation. And our organization emanates the work of St. Peter Claver by being nationwide with about 17,000 members. We have a St. Peter Claver Foundation that raises awareness and fight issues plaguing our community. Our national office and our local offices, district offices, award scholarships to students each year. We continue to spread hope, faith, and love through friendship, unity, and Christian charity. You know, that's our motto. The order has participated in many charitable appeals of many Catholic institutions, the NAACP, Sickle Cell Anemia Foundation. So I feel like we are continuing the work of St. Peter Claver.
Wonderful, wonderful, Bobby. And Deidre, would you have a perspective on that? Obviously, each of us has probably an individual perspective on that.
I feel that through the St. Peter Claver Foundation, our national organization has a really strong platform for social justice. The St. Peter Foundation has 5 pillars of social justice, and they are Black Lives Matter, the dignity of Black lives, criminal justice reform, domestic violence, human trafficking, and racism. So they address all of those issues within the 5 platforms. And our local court even has recently started a social justice committee, and we hope to address all of those 5 pillars in the very near future soon as well. So I think, through the social justice platform, we address the issues of today.
Right. Wonderful, wonderful. You know, people think of slaves, and we see the movies like Roots or whatever, and we see slaves who were in chains. And that's an obvious kind of slavery, but the slavery of today is a different one. It's actually more pernicious because it's hidden. It's things like poverty, it's things like domestic violence, things that have grown up into our community, which are kind of modern chains, so to speak, on all of us, on our community. And so it's so wonderful to hear that the ladies of Peter Claver are really right in the middle of trying to solve those modern forms of slavery that unfortunately are in our community. I want to ask you, you each have wonderful titles. Bobby, your title is Grand Lady of the Knights of Peter Claver, of the Ladies of Peter Claver, and yours, Deidre, is the Vice Grand Lady. So I want to ask you, these titles, even to our younger people now, may sound very formal, but can you tell us a little bit about the genesis of those titles and their meaning?
Okay, well, I'm, like you say, the Grand Lady of Court, St. Felicitas St. Albert Court 181. And this responsibility gives us as a group, my aim as Grand Lady, and that's what I do. I chair our meetings, and I also try to present opportunities for Catholic action. As Grand Lady, I'm responsible also for the junior daughters of Court 181, and those are youth ages 7 to 18. Peter Claver involved the whole family, men, women, and children. Today, our Ladies Auxiliary, that's what, have the same goals, which, like Deidre was telling you, to provide services to the church and the community, and also to make our youth spiritually and educational, give them those activities so they can develop socially and physically, and and live up to what they are meant to live up to. And that is a part of being the Grand Lady. It's like being chair of all these committees at the court that we're trying to accomplish, and we're accomplishing a lot. You know, for 25 years we did the food pantry. We sponsored this food pantry. For 28 years, we had the Archbishop James P. Like African American Male Image Award, which I'm sure you are familiar with.
I'm
that
a
one.
recipient of the award, so a proud recipient of that award.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's what as Grand Lady, that's what,
Yes.
I do.
So I suspect when you're in a hotel and you're not getting proper service, if you throw down that title, it might get you a little extra. When you say Grand Lady, you might get some extra service. You know, Bobby, I want to home in on one little thing you talked to there about the young people. And, you know, for the Catholic Church at large across the world, as well as here in Chicago, it's less relevant. The church itself, and I suspect even maybe your organization, it may seem less relevant in the lives of young people. What do you think is the problem there, and how do you think we make our Catholic organizations and maybe the Catholic Church at large? It's a big question. You can take it where you want, but how we make it more relevant to our young people today. And you could start with your own organization, what you're doing to try to make it more relevant to young people.
Okay, all right. Well, we're doing a lot of things, and Deidre is going to talk about the cotillion we're planning. During the pandemic, we've had prayer services and different things for our youth. And I think to keep them involved, you have to keep them interested. And to keep them interested, you have to bond. They have to bond with each other. And that's the same way with the church. You know, you have to take the time. It takes a lot of time, but it may mean a little weekend at your house or a weekend someplace so they can bond as a group. Like we have to bond as a group. They need to do that also.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, you know, what people want, even if they don't express it, and we know with social media we're sort of distanced from people, but people actually do want connection. We know that from our studies and so forth, young people, they're kind of in the most connected but disconnected world ever because they're connected by social media, but they don't have human connection. So I think what you're saying there, Bobby, is exactly right. I want to turn, we have a few minutes left, I want to turn to some of the things you mentioned about programs that you're doing particularly for young people, but just in general, things that you may have over the next couple of 6 months to a year that are sponsored by the ladies of Peter Claver.
Deidre is chairperson of the cotillion, so Deidre could talk on the cotillion a little.
Well, as Bobby mentioned, we've done for the last 28 years the Image Awards, which supports basically the young men in our community. So we wanted to broaden our outreach to the young women of our community. So we're pleased to announce that we're doing a cotillion for young ladies on May 1st, 2022. And we feel this will give them an opportunity to grow spiritually. We plan to have a spiritual day of reflection with Bishop Perry. We'll provide some educational opportunities for them. We may take them to places they may not have previously been to. We're going to increase their self-confidence with an oratory contest, health and wellness workshops. So it'll be a chance to bond with the young ladies and, like I said, help grow and evangelize them and keep them connected to the church. So we're really excited about that.
That's wonderful.
And I would also,
go ahead, Bobby.
Oh, I'm sorry. I would also like to say this year with the Image Award, you know, when we honor men, we also gave $20,000 in scholarships to high school students going to college, you know, so those are the things that we try to do.
And those are wonderful things. You know, I just love the energy of your organization, the fact that you get out there and you do these things and they're in action and they are. I did receive the award and I was there to see all those young people there. And so thank you so much. God bless you for your continued work for the rest of the year. And thank you again for joining us for this show. Look forward to being with you again.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.